Have you ever been worried that you're not doing enough for God's kingdom? This was a mission trip years ago, back when I had hair, back when I was a little bit slimmer, that I went on with my wife. This was before we got married. This was to Guatemala. And I remember on this mission trip, this was my first mission trip ever, first time out of the country. I was so excited to be able to serve at an orphanage. It was a place that was a malnutrition center that would take in impoverished kids whose parents couldn't afford to get meals. And this is where they would bring them. And I had in my mind that this was going to be the start of this outpouring of the Holy Spirit, that I was going to in some way be teaching these kids in Spanish, even though I barely speak any kind of Spanish, and I was going to just be moving mightily with the power of God through me. And what ended up happening, instead of everything that I had expected to do, I was one of the few guys that was on this trip, so of course they expected me to help out with construction, and then they very quickly found out that I am not good at helping out with construction. And I remember I went into the nursery to try to relieve some of the workers, let them know that there was going to be some lunch. And my mother-in-law, who was not my mother-in-law at the time, was holding this baby. And this baby was screaming, crying. And apparently she had been screaming, crying for 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks that this child had been taken from her parents and that she had nonstop been having just the worst time ever. All the workers didn't know how to reach her. They didn't know how to connect with her. And the moment that I came in, the moment that I stepped into that room, that baby reached out for me. Now, I had never held a baby before, not like that. And it intimidated me, it scared me, but my mother-in-law just immediately hands me the baby. And I remember the second I held her, she stopped crying. I was hoping to be some kind of mighty evangelist. I was hoping to be teaching the word and be impacting lives forever. And instead I found myself sitting with a baby that had been screaming, had been crying. And for the first time, as she was sitting with me, she knew peace. That right there, which looks like she's screaming or crying, is her first laughter. The reason I'm so excited is because I had spent days with her, trying to engage with her, rolling a ball back and forth with her, trying to get her to move. And finally, I had cracked the code. I had found something that made her excited and to laugh. Now, to most, a mission trip is not about sitting with a baby. But that baby's name was Jaime, and she was what was known as a bag baby. That she was the kind of baby that was just strapped onto her mother's back as her mother worked in the coffee field, and she didn't have any leg mass. She didn't have any desire to try either. She was discouraged even as a baby, and I was trying to work with her. I tried to get her to scoot closer to me, and even in just the time I was holding her, I was trying to love her. I was trying to love her the way that I thought if Jesus was in the situation, maybe he would do the same. This was a picture that they sent to me afterwards, and it was Jaime standing for the first time. If you had told me before I went on the trip that my trip was going to mostly be sitting in a nursery, holding a baby that was screaming, crying, and would only giggle when I played with a ball with her, I probably would have told you that doesn't sound like a very good mission trip. But through that trip, God opened my eyes. He opened my eyes to the fact that ministry is not always preaching. Ministry is not always this powerful movement of the Holy Spirit where something amazing sweeps over a people. Sometimes ministry is holding a baby. Ministry is rolling a ball. Sometimes ministry is being a father figure to those who don't have fathers. Now that I'm a family and children's pastor, I appreciate that even more. Sometimes people ask me, why do I do all the silly stuff I do? Why do I let kids cover me in chocolate syrup and slime and muck and grossness? The truth is because when kids have fun with me, when kids see that I care for them, that I want to love them, that I am willing to make a fool of myself for them, in some small way, they may be receiving a fatherly attention, a fatherly love that they've never experienced before. And maybe by hearing that come from a man who loves them without expectation, who is caring for them without anything trying to get back as a reward, maybe the love of God is shown to them just for a moment. You may be in a place in your life where you're thinking you're not doing the things that you really wish you could do. You're looking around saying, God, I would love to do something mighty for the kingdom. I would love to do something powerful, something moving. And that might look like a baby who just wants you to hold it. Wherever God has placed you, I am confident that God has a calling on your life. And sometimes that calling is simple. Sometimes that calling is to just love people where they're at. Sometimes it's to play with them. Sometimes it's to listen to them. Sometimes it's to cry with them. Sometimes it's to teach. Sometimes it's to preach. But sometimes you just show love to people who need love. I'll never forget that little baby, Jaime. And I'll never forget the impact that she had on me, because I stopped looking at ministry as big events for me to do. And I started looking at ministry as people who need the love of God. God bless, friends.